Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this today's video, I'm going to guide you through the process of making a chat application using .NET and Angular. For the .NET part, we will be using something called as SignalR, and the SignalR will help us to send message to the user in real time. So we'll also explore about what is SignalR in detail, and we will put our knowledge into action by building a chat application from scratch. So let's get ready to learn with me. I know it's going to be fun and educational, right, for all of you. So before starting the coding part, let's see a quick demo about how this application actually works. So this is how the homepage looks like. So we have a welcome to chat hub page where you have to write your display name and room name to join this chat hub. So as you can see that this button is disabled because we have added a small validation that user should add display name and room name, then only he can join the room. So let's add a display name here first. Let me add it, my name Shashi, and I will add a room name as JavaScript. So once I added these two details, I can click on join now. This button gets enabled. So if I click on join, so I can see this is how the chat page look like. Okay, so on the top I can see welcome to the JavaScript group, and on the left hand side you can see the connected user. So right now there is only one user who is connected, and that is me, Shashi. And on right hand side you can see the message which is coming from the Let's Program bot, that is Shashi has joined JavaScript. Okay, also you can see on the top hand side we have this leave chat button as well, that once you click on this leave chat you will be exited from this chat group. Okay, so that's all about how the user interface looks like. Now to do the actual demonstration we need to add one more link so that we can just show how exactly this will work in real time. So let me take one more browser. Okay, alright, so as you can see on the left hand side I am already connected. Shashi is already connected to JavaScript group, and over here I need to add a new user. So I will add Abhishek here, and I will use the same room name because this is very important. The room name should match. And once I click on join, I can see that now the connected user changed to 2, and also on the left hand side Shashi can see that Abhishek has joined the chat group which is JavaScript, and Abhishek can see his message as well. Okay, now I can start typing, and you can see on the right hand side Abhishek will receive the message in real time. So here I am writing hello. So once I hit enter, you can see the message is real time, and same thing Abhishek can do as well, and Shashi can receive it real time. See, I'm able to type here how are you, and once I hit on enter the message is getting real time. Okay, and for example, right, if the chat is done between these two, so what they can do, right, suppose Abhishek is done with the chat and he has to leave the room, so he can click on leave chat. Okay, once he clicked on leave chat, you can see again I have displayed one more message for Shashi that Abhishek has left. Okay, so this is what the beauty of SignalR is, that whatever action happens, it's all real time. Alright, let me show you one more cool feature about this chat application. In this chat application, we also have a notification feature. For example, if I'm trying to join this room and there is a user who is already logged into this group, then he can see a notification on the top. Let's do a quick demo about the same. So here, let me log in with the first name, Shashi Kumar, and let's use the name, the group name as JavaScript. I joined here and I can see a notification for myself that Shashi Kumar has joined the group. Let me do the same for this window as well. I will log in via Abhishek and I will use the same room name, and just have a look on this left side that you will see a notification, so that Shashi Kumar, who is already logged in, he will be notified as well that one more user has joined. So once I click on join, you can see that I'm getting a notification, live notification, and also I can see this connected users are getting updated. Let me add the third user as well. So once I click on join, I can see again notification. Let me add the fourth one as well, and see again I'm getting notification in all 4 windows, and this is all real time. Not just that, if you leave the chat room, right, still you will see a notification. If I click on leave chat, see I'm getting a notification that Shashi has left. Let me do this one as well, which is Dipali. If I leave chat, can you see Dipali has left the room? Let me do for this one. I'm getting Abhishek has left the group, and the last one is me. That okay, for me I won't be able to see, you know, right, because I'm the last one. So once you leave chat, see, that's how we have implemented the notification as well, a live notification, whatever happens, so we will display them live to the users. Also, if you wish to join the room again, so you can do that again by clicking on this join room now. Once you click here, you will again on the same page and you can do the same. Click on join, and that's it. I know you guys are very excited to start this journey of learning SignalR and implementing it by creating a chat application. But before starting the video, I will highly recommend, if you guys have loved my content, then you can subscribe to my channel over here, and there is also a join button here if you are interested to become my member, so that you can get early access for my upcoming videos, so you can get that as well. Alright guys, so let me take a moment to introduce to you about my new website what I have created, which is Let's Program blog. If you guys are passionate about coding, software development and staying up to date with the latest tech trend, then you are at the right place. Do not forget to visit our website at letsprogram.in for in-depth article, tutorials and much more. Also, you guys can subscribe to my newsletter. You need to add in your email address and you can subscribe to it, so whenever there is a new article I add, you will get a notification for sure on your email ID. Okay, so let me start with the coding stuff right now. So I will be creating a new .NET 7 web API project. So let me give it a name as chat application YouTube. Okay, YT. Okay, and I'm choosing this web API project, and let me just choose a destination for it. We add it. So I've choose the folder location, and let's create the application. Application is created here. So this is how the application look like. So first of all, I don't need this controller, so let me get rid of it. The controller is deleted. I don't need this as well, so let me remove it. Okay, so this is how your project will look like. So first of all, let's first see what we are going to install before starting the project. So first we need a NuGet package, which is a SignalR. So you can directly search for it. So as you can see, I'm installing this package, Microsoft.ASP.NET.SignalR, which is 2.4.3 version. So let me add this to my project. All right, so and also I need to configure it in the program.cs. So let me also do that. So here I'll just say builder.services.add SignalR. So this will add all the dependencies for having the SignalR. Alright, so let's just first try to understand what is a SignalR. Okay, so a SignalR is a library that can be used to develop a real-time web applications. Okay, so we are making use of this SignalR in between. Okay, so let's take an example, right? So suppose here I have a .NET application. Okay, in this .NET application, what I have added a SignalR. Okay, so this small one is my SignalR. So this SignalR has something called as hub. Okay, so this hub is nothing but help us to. So hub is this intermediate. Okay, so this is intermediate between our server and our client. Okay, because of this hub we are able to do that real-time communication. Okay, so what happens is this hub helps me to communicate. So for example, here I have three client 1, so I have second client here, and I have one more client. Okay, and all these three clients are connected to my hub. Okay, so whenever my application launch, right, so they all three are connected. Okay, so what happened, as soon as I receive any message, okay, I receive a message, I receive something from the user 1, so this hub transports that to all the users. Okay, because they all are connected to the same hub. Okay, so this is what the hub importance is in SignalR. All right, so SignalR uses this hub to communicate between client and server. Okay, so hub is a component that is hosted in your ASP.NET Core application. All right, and this hub sends message and receive the message from client using some remote procedure call. Okay, so what happens that I will demonstrate that how to actually communicate, like how a client communicates with this hub and how hub communicates with the client. Okay, so all that has to be done in this tutorial. I will be explaining you in depth. Okay, so first of all, we have to create this hub first. Okay, so let's go in your application and create the hub. Okay, so let me add a folder here and give it a name as hub. Now let's create a chat hub class. Okay, so this is created, and now we have to inherit it with Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.SignalR. Okay, and in that we have this hub. Okay, now once this chat hub is created, we have to map it as well in the program.cs. So let's go here and let me remove this unnecessary thing, and we'll have to map it by saying app.use endpoints, and in that let's add this endpoints. Okay, so let's add this endpoint, and then we'll say endpoint.point.map. So map hub, and you just have to import your chat hub here, and we'll have to also specify the path, which is #chat. That's it. Okay, so let me get rid of this errors, and yeah, I'm good. So in this way we have configured the chat hub as well, and now we can add all the code which is required to do the communication between client. Okay, so the first thing what I will be creating is for joining the room. Okay, so if you remember the demo, right, so we have to join the room first. Okay, so we'll creating that first. So let's create that method by saying public assign, okay, a task, and we'll create the room name as join room. Okay, and to join this room, right, I need two informations. The first information is that who is the user and what is the room name what you need. Okay, so for that let me create a model very quickly here. Let me add a model user room connection. and let me add that. Okay, let me just change it. Okay, let me rename this as well. Okay, so now let me add those model. So the first will be of type string, and the name would be the room name. Okay, or I can say the user first, and the second name is the room. Okay, so this is my user connection room, and this is what I will be passing it to this method. User room connection, and now inside this what I will do, right? So we have access to all the methods. So here you can see group. So we have this group which is coming from hub. Okay, so we can say group dot add group async. Okay, so the benefit of this adding this hub is I'm able to access all the things which is part of your hub. Okay, so I can access my context where I can get the connection ID, so who is connecting to my room. So I can say context.connection ID. Okay, and I have to pass the group name as well, which is coming from user connection, which is coming from the user basically. So group name will be user connection dot room. Okay, also once the user is added to the group, we can notify the client by saying await clients dot group. So to which group you want to notify. So I will add that again, user connection dot room, and then I will say dot send async. Okay, so I want to send the message, so I'll say send async, and I will give the method name which is receive message. Okay, and also I can provide who is sending this message. Okay, so I can give that information as well. So I think this is sent by let's program, so I'll just say that let's program bot. Okay, and also I can specify what message I want to send. So I want to send the message that a user is connected. Okay, so I can add here user connection dot the username. Okay, I can give the message as has joined the group. Okay, so in this way we are able to send this message to the user once he joins the group. Also what I can do is I can store all this user connection in my server as well. So let me create a dictionary for this user connection, and I can store it in my, so once the connection gets started, so all the connection will be stored inside that. Okay, so for that let me create a dictionary for that. So let me add it private read only. I dictionary of string. So string will be nothing but my connection ID, and I have to store the user connection. Okay, so this will be my user connection. Okay, let's give it a name as connection, and same thing I have to inject it in the constructor. So let me do that. Okay, so this is added, and now what I will do, right, once the user is added to the group, I will also save it in my connections. Let me add the context ID. Okay, so this is my connection ID added, and I will just pass this user connection which is coming from on the top. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so we have added it here. So now as we are injecting it here, so let me add the dependency injection for it in the program.cs. So let me just add it just below the SignalR. So builder.services dot add a singleton. So I dictionary of string comma user connection. Okay, so this will always create a new instance. Alright, and now this is, in this way we have configured it successfully in the program.cs as well. So now this will be injecting it. Now we can inject it easily in our hub. Okay, and this will store our user connection information. Now the join room is done. Okay, now we have to design, now we have to not design, we have to create it for sending the message. Okay, so for that let me also create it same by saying public async task send message. Okay, so let me add this message string message. And now what I can do, right, I just have to send the message. Okay, so for which user I want to send, so I can get that as well. So first of all I will check it from my connection. So connection dot try get value, as this is my dictionary. So I have to check for this connection ID. So context dot connection ID. If you have that, then you just pass it inside this user connection, and then we can just add it in the client group the message. So clients dot group. So for which room you want to send the message, so you can say user connection dot the room. Okay, dot send async. Okay, so we have to specify which group. Suppose someone sends a message. Okay, so this will take this message, and this will check for this connection ID, and it will get that room information from there. Okay, and the client will send that message to this particular room which we have, room, or you can say group. Okay, so this will be sending specific to this particular room. And send async, what you need to say, right, you just have to say the method name as receive message, and you can pass user connection dot user who has sent the message. Then you can pass the message in the second argument, and in the third argument you can pass at what time you have sent this message by saying datetime.now. So you can also send the time at what time the message was sent. Okay, so in this way your second method is also done. Now what happens, right? So whenever my user is joining the group, okay, so and I want to send like how many users are connected in my group, so I can do that as well by creating a new method. So let me just do that below. Send connected user. So we just need to take the room name, and based on the room name we will send the list of users. So what we can do, we can say where users. So we have this connection dot value, which is my dictionary. So from this I will do the where condition, that where my u dot room is equal to the room which I'm checking for. Okay, so send this, whoever users are present in this room, I have to select the users and I have to send it. Okay, so that's it. So in this way I will get all the users inside this, and now I can return this to the client by saying clients dot group. So which group you want to send this information, so that is what I will have to specify as a room. Okay, for this room you have to send a sync, and then you have to specify the method name, which is connected user. Okay, and give it your value, what you want to pass to the client. That's it. Okay, so now what this method will do actually, let's check that. So you will send the room name for which you want to get all the list of users. Okay, so this will take that list of users and this will return it to the client, and client will be looking for this particular method name, okay, which is connected users, and this will be invoked in the Angular, and then Angular will receive all the list of users. Okay, so once I will create the Angular app, then this method will make more sense. Okay, so in this way we have created three methods, which is join room, send message, and send connected user. Now for example, right, so someone is leaving my group. Okay, so I have to handle something else, right? If you remember the demo, so once I was leaving the group, I was able to see the message that a user has left the group. Okay, so for that I need to handle it by, there is something called as a method on disconnected async. So there is a method already in this hub class, so we have to override that method. So let's do that. So we'll say public override task of on disconnected async. Okay, and in this method we can check for if there is any exception. You can just pass it. Okay, so exception is there, so you can pass that. And again you will check the same thing, okay, for which connection ID you want to do that. So again I'll do that. If there is no connection dot try get value, so we can get the context ID from there, context dot connection ID. So for this one, take it in out, user room connection dot connection room connection, or whatever you can take the name. Okay, all right, and I can return base dot on disconnect async, and I can just pass the exception if there is any. That's it. Okay, and once this is done, right, we have to send the message as well. So we'll send the message to the group by saying client dot group, and we'll pass the user connection, which is coming from the top, the room connection dot to which room, you can specify that, and then you have to send a message. So I'll say send message async, and again give the method name as receive message, and we will part the first argument, which is my let's program bot, and second argument will be the message what I need to send it to the user. Okay, so this will be my user connection dot the user has left the group. Okay, also what happens, right, so once the user has been left the group, I need to call this method. Okay, I need to call this method, okay, that will send the connected user. So I will call that method here send connected user, and I have to just pass the room name, so room connection dot the room. Okay, all right, and now once that is done, so we just have to say return, as this is a returnable method. So I'll have to again say return base dot on disconnect async, and we can pass the except if there is any. That's it. Okay, so once this is done, so we will be able to send this message to the client as well, that user has left the group. Okay, one thing I missed it in the join group, that I have not sending the connected user. So if you see, right, once the user joins my group, at that time also I want to update that connected user, correct? So I'll have to send that as well. So let's call that method again, await send connected user, and I can pass the name of the room. That's it. Alright, so in this way I am able to create all the required methods, but is join room, send message, on disconnected, and the connected user. So this was all about what we have to create in the backend side. Now I will show you what we have to create in the front end side to access all of these messages. Alright, so now it's time to create our Angular application. So I will be creating the Angular application inside this backend itself, the backend server itself. Okay, so let me just go to that location. So this is my chat application YT, this is my solution. So if I go inside this, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so let me open up a terminal in this folder. So this is my folder, and in this I will be creating the Angular application. So for that, how do we create Angular application? The command is ng new and the name of the application. So I'll just give it a client tab. Okay, and hit enter. Would you like to have routing? Yes, we will use routing, and let's use the default CSS and hit enter. So now this will install all the necessary package, and our Angular application will get ready in just a moment. Alright, the packages has been installed successfully. Let's go in the application by saying cd space client app, and let's open this in the VS Code. Let me zoom this a bit, and now we are ready to go. So first thing what we need to do, right, we have to install a package called as Microsoft/SignalR in Angular itself. So because I have installed a NuGet package in backend, we have to do something similar in the front end as well. So let me just install that first, npm install, and this is the package what I was talking about, @Microsoft/SignalR, and hit enter. Okay, so the package has been installed, and you can see it in the package.json as well. So this is what the package looks like. The version is 7.0.11. Also I will be using a pop-up. So I will be using my own npm created package, which is ng angular popup, to display the toast message. So npm install ng angular popup. Okay, and let's hit on install. Alright, so these two packages has been installed, and you can verify them in the package.json. Alright, so now let's try to create the components what we will require to do this in this application. So the first component we'll require is the chat, then we require join room, and then we require a welcome page. So how to create a component? It's very easy by saying the command ng, g for generate, c for component, and the first component is chat. I know this ask always for the first time, so always say no. Yeah, this has installed your first, create your first component in the src. If you have a look, so in the app it will be creating a chat component here for you. Okay, I'll create the rest of them as well. The second one is join room created. The third one is the welcome. Okay, so as you can see on the left hand side, I have chat, join room, and welcome page created. Let me also configure the routing for all these three components. So I'll go in this const routes, and I will configure the routing here by specifying the path. So the path for join room will be like this, join-room, and then it should load the component which we have created, join room component. Okay, then we have the second route, which is the welcome page, and we have to load the component name welcome component. Okay, and the last one is the chat. So the route will be chat, and we have to load the component called as chat component. Okay, and if the path is blank, okay, if the path is blank, then I have to redirect my page. So I will redirect it to the join room, and this should match the path. So path match should be full, it should exactly match the path. Okay, that's it. So we have configured the routing as well for our three components. Okay, and to use the routing, to see the effect of the routing, we have to go here and make use of router outlet. So in the app component.html, I will remove everything what is there already, and I will just add the router outlet. Okay, so no need to close. So now Angular has a self-closing tag feature, so we are using that here. So this is a self-closing tag. So this is our router outlet. Okay. Alright, so now to run the application, so we have to hit the command ng serve, and let's hit enter. So this has compiled our application successful. Now we can go on this port to see it. Okay, so I can see that join room works, and let me just check if the routings are working or not. So let me go to the chat. Yes, chat works, and let me go to the welcome page. Yes, welcome also works. So now we are able to see that all the pages are working. So now what we need to do, we have to design this join room page. Okay, but before that we will be using Bootstrap in our application so that it can make our life little easy. So to add a Bootstrap in your application, you have to copy these two links. So let's copy this link first. Copied, and let's go in your index.html and just paste it here. I'll copy the second one as well, the JS file, and we have to copy and paste it here just below the body. Okay, so once this is done, now you will be able to use Bootstrap in your application. Now let's go in your join room component.html, and let me remove these things, and I will be pasting the code snippet here. Alright, so this is how the code snippet of the join room looks like. Again, so we are using Bootstrap, so that's why we can see all the class name which is coming from Bootstrap itself, the container, row, col MD6 and all of those. Okay, so let me just explain you that what this snippet is all about. So we will have a container first, and in that we will create a row where we have this col MD6, where we will add our header with this welcome to chat hub, and then we will have a subheader which will say that please join the room to start chatting. Okay, and just below that I have this card, and I have put a margin as Y, which means top and bottom as 5, and the card body we have it as a form. Okay, so this is how the form will look like, and in the form I have added 2 fields, which is the first one is my input, which is my display name, and the second is the room name, where I will be adding the room name for the user. And just below that I have a div which has my button which says that join. Okay, if you guys need this code, then I will highly recommend you guys to become my Patreon member, because all my Patreon members get this source code. So as you can see that this is my Patreon page of Let's Program, and here if you go that I have already added this post about this chat application with all the description what we need and all those. All you need to do is you just have to specify your GitHub ID here, and I will give you access to this particular code base. All right, so now let's just talk about so once we save the changes, right now you can go and check your change. So this is how the page currently looks like. So we need to add some more CSS to make it more beautiful. So for that, what I will do, let me just take some code snippets from my CSS. So let me just add my CSS here, and once I save the changes, now if I go here, so I am able to see this page. So this is how it looks like now. Now I just need to make it in the center of this page. So let me just go in my VS Code and let me add a offset. So I will be adding the offset to this col MD6. So let me add that. So this will be offset MD3. Okay, and save the changes. And now this is in the center of the page. So this is how the page will look like. So for now here, this is my form, so I'll have to create a form as well. So to create a form in Angular, so I have already did a lot of videos on YouTube, so you can go ahead and check out that. But if you're still new to this, so still not a problem, I will show you how to do that. Okay, so this is my join room component, and here I'll have to initialize my form first. Okay, so let's create the form first. So I'll say join room form, and this is of type form group. Okay, so as you can see, it is imported on the top as well. All right, and now I will have to add a constructor, or if you don't want to inject it in the constructor, so there is a new way of doing things, which is we can do that. So for example, I can inject the directly form builder by saying inject. Okay, so this inject is coming from Angular/core. This is the new feature coming in Angular. I think this feature came after Angular 14 or 15 if I'm not wrong. Okay, so now you can directly inject your form builder. So you just have to say form builder, and in the ng on init. So let me implement the interface on init, and in the on init I will be initializing my form. Let me copy this and paste it below this, and in the ng on init, let me initialize the form by saying this dot room equals to this dot fp, which is my form builder dot group. Okay, so I have to group the form. So I have 2 fields. So first one is my user, and I will also add the validators dot required, and the second one will be my room. Again, let me add the validator for this as well, validators dot required. Okay, so my form is ready in the TS. Now I have to do the same thing, something similar in the TS, in the HTML as well, so that this form gets connected. Okay, so what you will do, right? So in the form here, you will have to add form group. Okay, and you'll say why the form group is not helping me in the IntelliSense, because to use a form, first thing you have to do is you have to import reactive form module. As we are using reactive form module, let me add that here. So reactive forms module. Okay, so once you add this reactive form module, now the IntelliSense will work for you. So here I will just add that form group. See, now it is working, and give the name, group name, which is my form join room form. Okay, so the form is ready. Now I have to bind my form controls. So for that I have 2 inputs. So this will have my form control name, and the name was user, and for the second one, form control name would be room. Okay, and now this will be my button. Let me just make it little changes here. Yeah, so this is my button join room. So I will have a click event here, click, and this will be my method called as join room. Okay, I haven't created this method, so that's why it is throwing error. So let me create the method here. So I can say join room. Okay, so once I do that, right, my error is gone. Okay, and what I will do with this join room, let me just do a console.log if my form is working or not. So I'll do console.log my join room form dot value. Okay, so I can check the values there. Let me save all the changes and let me just check in the console if there is any error. So the compile is success, and now let me just go on the browser to see. Now let me open up my console as well. Let me zoom this a bit and let's go in the console. Now if I add a display name and if I add a room name and if I click on join, so I can see I am able to bind my form values, which is user and room. Okay, but one thing what I'm not liking is if I try to click on join, I can still see the empty values. Okay, which means I have to add the validation. So I will be using the validations to disable this button so that user will not be able to click it. Okay, so to do that, right, I will go on the button and I will use an attribute called as disabled. Okay, and I will say join room form dot invalid. Okay, if my form is invalid, then please disable the button. So if you see, now I am not able to click this button. See, I'm not able to click. If I add the correct value and then if I be able to see, the button get enables, and now if I click on join, I can see the values as well. Okay, so the form is ready for this join. Okay, so now it's time for us to design the chat screen. Okay, so now what will happen, right? So whenever I'm on this join page, whenever I click this join, so I have to route it to the chat screen. Okay, so how can I do that? So let's go in your TS file and you have to again inject a router service. So router equals to inject, not this one, router. Okay, and now what you will do, right? So once your form is valid, then you can say this dot router dot navigate. Okay, and you have to specify the route where you want to go. So for P it's chat. Okay, so once the user click on join room, he will go to the chat page. So let's see if that is working. So let me put my display name and the room name, and if I click on join, see I'm able to come to the chat works page. Okay, now let me just design that page right now. So again I will be using the code snippet, so let me just do that. Okay, so this is how the screen looks like this is what the HTML code we have for the chat screen. Okay, and also I need to add a lot of CSS, I know, because this requires a lot of CSS. Let me just show you how it looks without CSS. So if I go on the browser, so this is how it looks like for now. Okay, so we can see welcome to dummy room and all of this user type message and the connected user. Okay, so I have to write a lot of CSS. Okay, so what you can do, right, you can just follow the code snippet what I will provide on the Patreon and you can take it from there. So once I add the CSS, can you see there is tons of CSS what I have added to implement that. So here you can see you guys can just take a screenshot or you can just pause the video and just you can write down all the CSS if you guys need it. So this is how the CSS side looks like. Okay, so this is what my join is, my online button, my image, my inbox people, inbox message, top space, recent heading, search bar. This is my heading search, what is on the top. Okay, so this is my h4 heading tag, whatever I will be creating. All right, this is my search bar, inbox. This is my chat people, inbox chat, and I will keep all of this for you in the video, but if you still want it, you can take it from the Patreon directly, or you can just become my member and you can just ping me on Telegram or Instagram and I can just give you the access for this particular repo. Okay, so once you add this CSS, now if you go on the browser, this is how it looks like. Okay, so we have the header on the top, we have this leave button, the connected user, the dummy connected user, the message to type, and we will also have the chat screen once we have the messages coming from the backend. Okay, so this is how this screen also looks like. Now the last task for us to do is the welcome page. Like once we leave the chat, so we should go on the page again. Okay, so let me just design that as well. So if you go in the welcome page, we have to write something here. So let me again take it from the code snippet. So this one is very straightforward. This is just have a container with row, offset, and some messages for you guys. Okay, and this also has a router link so that this will route you to the join room if someone clicks that. All right, so now let me just go on the welcome page, and this is how this looks like. We just need to add some background color and then we are good to go. So to do that, let me just copy the CSS for the same, and let me just go here and paste it. Okay, after adding this to classes, if I save the changes, this is how it looks like. Okay, so someone will click on the join room now, so again he will route it back to the join room page. All right, so in this way we have completed the designing part of your join room, the chat room, and then your welcome page. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Now our next job is to connect everything with the server. Okay, like once I join the group, I have to send it to the server that the new user has joined and whatnot. Okay, so to do that, right, I will have to create a service in Angular. So let me just go ahead and create a service. So I will go inside this service app. Okay, what I can do, right, I can directly make use of the Angular CLI to do that. So I will say ng, g for generate, s for service, and the service name is chat. Okay, so we are going to create a chat service, and in this chat service we are going to add all the logic to do the connection with your backend. Now let's see what we have to do here. Okay, so first of all we have to establish the connection, and to do that, right, we are using a SignalR package what we have already installed. So let me just import that. So you will say import star as SignalR, okay, and this is coming from @Microsoft/SignalR. Okay, so once you imported this, now you can use that to start the connection. So to establish the connection, this is what we have to do. So first of all, let's go ahead and create a property called as connection, and let's give it a type for now as any. And what we will do, right, we'll make use of the SignalR. So we'll say new SignalR dot, there is something called as hub connection builder. So let's add that hub connection builder. Okay, and then we'll say dot with URL. Okay, so with URL, what is this URL? This is nothing but your backend URL what you will have. Okay, so let's just take ahead http //localhost 5000. Okay, 5000, and then /chat. Okay, so now a lot of people will ask like what exactly this link is. This link is nothing but your backend URL. Okay, so let me just do some changes in the backend so that my port should run on 5000. So let me open up my backend. Okay, and all you have to do, go in the properties, go in launch setting.json, and in the HTTP, right, you don't need to launch your browser, so you can make this as false. And also you can change your application URL to localhost 5000. Okay, and save the changes. Okay, so this is what I have took in my hub connection builder. So this hub connection builder will build a connection with my backend port, which is on localhost 5000, and this chat is coming from the hub. So if you remember that in the program.cs we have added a chat hub which was routing on this /chat. Okay, so in this way we will be able to build the connection. Okay, so once this is done, right, so what you need to do, right, you have to configure the logging. For example, you want to check the logging, what is happening, okay, in the, what we say, that if the connection is done, if there is any error, so you can configure the logging in your hub. So how you can do that, you can just say SignalR, you can just configure login, and you just have to specify the type of logging. Is it information, is it a warning, or is it what? Okay, so I'll say log level dot log all the information, okay, in the console, and then you'll just have to say dot build. Okay, in this way you will be able to build your connection. All right, and now once the connection is built, you can start the connection. So to start the connection, right, you will have to create a method. So let's write here start connection. Okay, now what you will do, right, for creating the method, you'll have to create an async method. We'll say public async, and then you'll have to say start the connection. So let me just add a try catch. Okay, so in the try, what you will do, you will start the connection by saying await this dot connection dot start. Okay, so I know this is not giving me any IntelliSense because I have put here as any. So let me just change it to hub connection. Okay, and this is coming from SignalR. Okay, SignalR dot hub connection. So now if you able to say connection dot, so now you'll be able to see all the method which is exposed by this connection. So we have to say start. Okay, and in this way it will start your connection. And if there is any error, so you can catch it in this blog, you can log them. So console.log error, that's it. Okay, for example, if you want to reconnect, if there is any error and you want to reconnect, so you can add a set timeout here, and this will, after every specified time, this will reconnect. So for example, this is what I'm saying. So you can create a set timeout. Okay, you can reconnect every 5 seconds, and you can again say this dot start. Okay, this dot start. That's it. If you wish to do, if you don't want to do, then it's fine. You can just close the connection. That's it. If there is any error, in this way you will be able to create the start. So this will start your connection. So now we are able to start the connection. So now what we need to do next is we have to do the 3 things what we have created in the backend. So the first thing is we have to join the room. Second thing we have to do is send messages. And the third thing we have to tackle is leave chat. Okay, so we will be creating those 3 methods just below this. Okay, so for joining the room, what you will do, right, you'll just create a public async join room, and you just need to pass user, and you have to pass room name. Okay, so you can take room as a group, or you can, it's all up to you. Okay, so this is nothing but group, or you can also call it as room. So you have to pass 2 things to join the room. Okay, and let's return this, and we'll say this dot connection dot invoke. Okay, so now what I want to do here, invoke, what does this invoke means? Okay, so let me give a very good example here. Suppose if you want to do a API call from front end, or I would say from Angular to .NET, so what you do, so in .NET you will have a endpoint created where you have a route. correct? But when you're doing it with SignalR, so what we have something called as invoke, okay? And this invoke accepts an argument called as method name, which means, for example, if you want to invoke a method which is already a part of your backend, for example, as I told you, right, the chat hub, okay? So this is my mediator. So in this chat hub, I have a method called as join room, okay? And from Angular, I want to invoke that method. So this is what the hub connection provides me. So I have added a connection here on this URL, and this hub connection is built already, and I have started the connection. Now I am able to invoke the method in the chat hub, okay? Because this chat hub is mapped, right? So I can call that method by calling invoke. So all you have to do is you just have to specify the method name, which is join room, okay? So once you click on this join room, what you need to do, right? So if you see this join room, we are passing an object which is user connection, and this user connection has two things, your user and room, okay? So this is what you need to pass as well. So what I will pass, I will create an object, okay? I will create an object, and inside that I will pass user and I will pass room. That's it, okay? And in this way you will be able to invoke the method, okay? Now we have to do for send message. Again, for send message, what is the method? The method name is send message, which means whenever the user is sending a message, I want to invoke this method. That's it. So now what it will be? Very easy again for you guys to understand now. So public async send message. Okay, all you need to do, you just have to pass a message. So message of type string. And again, you want to invoke, right? You want to invoke this method. So what you will do, you will just say return this dot connection dot invoke. Okay, and just pass your method name. So I want to call this method name of the chat hub. So just take that and paste it here. So this should match. That's why I did a copy paste, because this name should match. Okay, and what is the argument this guy needs? Okay, this guy needs a message. So that message you can pass it here as the argument message. That's it. Easy, right? Now let's do the same thing for the third one, which is leave. For leave, right, it is very straightforward, which means now if you are leaving the chat, which means you are stopping the connection. Like, okay, I'm done with it. Now I want to stop the connection. So as simple as that, you'll just say public async leave chat, and now what you will do, you'll just say return this dot connection dot stop. See, we have a method exposed, which is stop. That's it. So in this way, your three method is ready. So now these three will be able to communicate. Okay, so these three methods are done in your chat service. But now how will I able to get the messages? For example, if someone has joined the room, okay, so I got a message, right, that user has joined this group, correct? So how will I able to catch that event? Okay, to catch that event, we have something called as on. Okay, so for that I will use the constructor here, and I will say this dot connection dot on. Okay, connection dot on. If I open this bracket and this guy straight away say, okay, which method you want to listen, which method are you expecting? So if you see here, right, whenever I join a group, the context ID gets added in the group, in the room, and then I am saying something called as send async, and there is a method which is receive message. Okay, which means I want to listen to this receive message. Okay, so whenever something happens, whenever something your chat hub is sending to the client, when you say client.group, so to this group, please send this message. So this is sending via this event receive message. So this is what you want to listen now. So I will say connection.on on what method? Receive message. Okay, and now do you have any arguments after that? Yes, I have three arguments. Argument 1, who is the user who is sending the message? Argument 2, what is the message? Okay, and if you see, we have one more receive message. It has three arguments, like user connection room 1, 2, and this 3. So we have a user, we have a message, and we have a time as well. So the same thing we will add it here as well for all the message, because we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we have 3 times this use. So we will use a single one by saying the first argument should be the user itself. Okay, so let me open up that bracket callback. So user is what I will receive. Second thing, I will receive a message again of type string, and the third thing I will receive is message time. If you guys have any confusion why I use message time, okay, let me just add it here. So it's not a problem. Okay, so argument 1 is user, argument 2 is your message, and argument 3 will be your date time. So let me add it here as well. So date time dot now, what time the message has been sent. Okay, same thing I can add it here as well whenever the user disconnects. So date time dot now. That's it. Okay, so now I will have, so for this receive message, I will be receiving 3 arguments, which is coming from the backend. Okay, now we have all three we have to use it. So now what I'll do, I'll just do console log to all of those 3. Okay, let me just do a console.log. So first thing will be my user. Okay, and this will be my user. Let me copy paste. Okay, now I'll just take this one as well, control V. This will be my message. This will be my message time. Okay, this I have to change it to message, and this I have to change it to message time. Okay, so now whenever I receive any message, so I will console log them. Okay, so this is the first thing, this is the first event which we want to listen. Okay, if you remember, right, we have created one more event, so we are sending one more send async. So just see how many send async we have. So we have one send async. Okay, this is covered. Second send async. Okay, yes, this is also covered. Third send async. Yes, this is also covered. And then we have one more send async, and the name is connected user. Okay, we also want to get this connected user event. So what we will do, we'll create one more on event on. So I'll say this dot connection dot on. Okay, and on this time, what I should write here? I should write here the exact same name, connected user. Okay, connected user. And what this guy will give me? This guy will give me a enumerable. This guy will give me a list of strings, correct? So this guy will give me users. Okay, so I can just write it like this, users, and then I can just do a console.log users, and I'll just use it like this. That's it. Okay, which means now I am able to listen to both of the events. Okay, now let me save all the changes. Okay, so now I can say that my service is ready. Okay, so my chat service is ready, where I have a connection property. Then in the constructor, I'm listening to all the events, which is to receive message and connected user. And then I know how to start the connection. I know how to join room, send the message, and leave the message, or like leave the chat group. Okay, now I want to use them in my components. So let's go in the join component and use this one. Okay, so what happens now here? So if you see, I have already added all the forms and everything here. So whenever user click on join room, the join room button, which is present in the UI, this is the button I'm talking about. So I want to trigger that service. Okay, so let's inject the service, chat service, inject chat service. Okay, and now what I will do, right, no need of, okay, router navigation we need. So let me just take the values from here. So I can say const, let me destructure it, users comma room, and this is coming from this dot form dot value. I just destructured it, and now what I can say, that I can say this dot chat service dot join room, and join room needs 2 arguments. First, you need to pass the user, which is coming from this form, and then second name you have to pass the room itself. Okay, and this actually we are returning it, right? So we are returning a promise. Can you see this is a promise? So what you can do here, right, you can say dot then, if your promise is success, then you will navigate to the chat screen, which means now you can go to the chat screen and do the chatting. But if there is any error, so you can catch it here, can catch that in this exception, and you can just display it in the error. Okay, just do a log, or you can use the toast message to display the error. That's it. Okay, so in this way we are able to do this join. Okay, let's save all the changes. Okay, compile successful. Now let's open up your backend, and now we have to run the backend first. Okay, so let's run the backend, and then only we can do the demonstration. Okay, now let me click on run. Okay, so I think there is some error that it is complaining me about the routing inside configure. Okay, so let's see your program.cs. It is complaining there about the routing. Oh yes, we don't have any route, so that's the problem. So we have to make use of app.use routing. Okay, so I think we have removed it, but we have to use it, then only we can use the endpoints and stuff. Okay, so we have to add this app.use routing because we have a Swagger endpoint and all those. Okay, so let me just save this file, and again let me run the application. So once I added that, my application is running on localhost 5000. Now let me open up my Angular as well, and let me open up my console. So if I go in the console, if I refresh, everything seems okay. Now let me go here and add a display name. So let me add the first name, and let me add the second name. Oh sorry, the group name. And now once I click on join, let's see what happens. Okay, so once I click on join, I can see there is some error I'm getting, that connection is not yet started. Okay, so let's see how do we fix this one. So let's go in your service and check. Okay, so because this is failing because we haven't started the connection. Okay, so we have created the connection, but we are not starting it. So let's go in the constructor and call that method this dot start. Okay, and by this your connection will get start. So let's save the changes and let's go on the browser again and refresh. So once I refresh, I'm getting some new error now, and I know this is one of the famous error that I have been teaching like for so long, that the CORS issue. Okay, and we are facing this CORS issue. So let's see how do we fix the CORS issue here. So let's go in the backend. Inside the program.cs, we have to add a CORS policy. So how we will add that CORS policy, let's see that. So just go on the top here and you just have to add builder.services.add CORS. Okay, and in the CORS you can add the options, and here you just have to add a default policy. So you can say options.add default policy. You can assign it to the builder, and then builder will add all the necessary thing like builder dot with origins. So origin you can choose it here, that what is the origin of your Angular. This is http:/localhost 4200. Okay, and then with we can also say allow any header, allow any credentials or any method. So we have to do that as well, and then allow any credential. Okay, so in this way your CORS will get configured, but this is not everything, right? Your services is configured, but you have to use it in the middleware. Okay, so just go here in below the routing and you can say app.useCORS. Okay, so once you add this, save all the changes and just refresh your backend again. Okay, so once you restart, now let's see if we still face that same error. So once I refresh the page, I can see that my connection has been established, I guess. So here I can say yes, so my connection is done. So let me just do one more thing so that I can say confirm that my connection is established. So what I will do, right over here, I will just add a console. Okay, I will just add a console that my connection is established. Okay, so let's add a console.log established. Okay, so save the changes, and now we can see the message connection is established in the chat service. So which means now we will be able to join the room. So now let's add the name and add the JavaScript, and let me remove all the console for now, all the console messages. And now if I click on join, so see, once I clicked on join, right, I'm able to see lot of consoles here, like console messages. The first one is who is the user. So the user is let's program. What is the message? The message is Shashi has joined the group. What time this message came, and who is the connected user. So there is only one user, which is Shashi Kumar. Okay, let me add one more instance of that. Okay, so let me add one more. So let me add a new user now. So this console will again get updated. I'll just have a look here. I'm not gonna refresh it. So let me add one more user, JavaScript, and click on join. Okay, now I can see one more message here. Again, I got a message from Let's Program bot that Abhishek has joined the group. This is the message, and now the connected user changed from 1 to 2. Okay, now which means we are able to get the real-time message from your chat hub. Okay, so now what you need to do is you just have to store all of those messages and you have to display them here on the UI. Okay, so now let's see how we can do. So to store all the messages, what we will do, we'll make use of behavior subject now. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So let's create a property first, a behavior subject property, and this will be public, and this will be messages with a $sign. Okay, and this will be my new behavior subject. I'll specify the type as any for now, and that's it. And this will have the initialized value as empty. Okay, so this will be an empty list. And second, I will have to also store the connected user, correct? So I will create the same property, connected users with a $sign, and this will be my new behavior subject. Again, the type I can specify is of string, array of string. Okay, and then I'll specify it as empty. Okay, so this is done. So these two things are done. And also, right, so this will act as my so these two will store the observables. Okay, and what I will do, right, I will take those messages as list and array, whatever it is, and I will pass them on. So for this, I will have to create one more property called as public, and this is the normal messages. Okay, and this will be of type any, and this is my array. And same thing I'll do for the users as well. So I'll say public users of type array of strings, and this is empty initialize. Okay, so this is what I have. So I have this 4 property, 2 are my behavior subject and 2 are my normal property, okay, which are empty array. All right, so now what I will do, right, so whenever I'm joining a room, like someone joins my room, okay, so at that time I'm invoking that message, correct? So I'm invoking the message. So here I can see I'm getting all the message detail here. Okay, so all I need to do is I have to store those messages. So what I will do, I will just say here this dot message. Okay, this dot messages equals to, and then what I will do, I'll say I'll spread this message, the previous messages. So this dot messages, okay, comma, and then I will be storing the user information, which is the user, then the message which is coming from the SignalR, and the message time. Okay, so this will add this will be my previous messages, and this will add an extra object. Okay, and now once the message has been added here, so once the message is updated with the new message, what I will do, I will just say this dot messages dot next. Okay, and this next will send this value, this dot messages. That's it. Okay, I can remove all this console, not required anymore. Same thing I have to do for users as well. So let me remove the console first, and then I will say this dot connected users dot next, and I will pass the users which is coming from the backend. If you remember, when I logged in with Shashi, I got one array, and then when I joined with Abhishek, I got another. So I got list of strings, like which are listed users. So this is what I'm passing it to the connected user. That's it. Okay, so now I'm able to store the connected users, and I'm able to store the messages. Now I want to display them. Okay, so why I did this, because I want to pass this message to some different component. So that's why I used a service to do that. Now I want to pass these two information, connected user and message, to my chat component. Okay, so let me inject that here. So we have chat service. We will use inject the chat service, and now let's implement the onInit interface. Implements onInit. Okay, and this will ask you to implement the interface, and always use it below the property declarations. Yes, and now here I will just I'll just subscribe those things. Okay, so first of all I want to store the messages here, so I'll just say messages of type any, and this is an empty. Okay, and now here I will say this dot chat service dot messages dot subscribe. Okay, so either you can directly go ahead and subscribe to your response, and then you can just store it in the message. You can say this dot messages equals to message or your response, what you are getting. Okay, because this is an observable, right? So behavior subject, so you can do dot next and you can do dot subscribe. So you say dot next to add the stream, to add the data in your stream, and you say dot subscribe to use that data. Okay, whatever the data you have in that stream. Okay, so in this way you will be able to update this property messages. Okay, now from this chat component I want to send messages, correct? So for that, let me create a method send message. Okay, and in the send message, so if you remember right, I have a button here just below it. So this is the button which will help me to send the message. Okay, I'll just show you on the UI how it looks like. So we have this button which once you click on that button, it will send a message. Okay, so to do that, right, I will have to use a property to store the whatever users are typing. Like for example here, right, if I type something here, so and this is my button. Okay, I'll fix it with the icon, don't worry. But this is my button. So if I click here, so the message should send. So I have to store this value, right, the input value. So what I will do, I'll just create a property called as input message. Okay, and let me add a string literal. This is my of type string, and I will make use of ng model. So it's up to you if you want to use ng model, or if you want to directly go ahead and use the event binding. So both you can do that. Okay, so I'll prefer ng model. But to use ng model, the first thing is we have to import the forms module, because ng model directive is a part of your forms module. Okay, so once you add this forms module, now you can use ng model on this input. Okay, so this is how the ng model looks like, ng model, and in this ng model you will bind your value. So this is two-way data binding, and you will add your input message property here. So the value got binded. Okay, and now what you will do, right, now what happens, so for example, whenever you are doing a key press, okay, so whenever you do a key press, at that time also you have to call, suppose you click enter. Okay, so if you do a enter, at that time also you want to call. Okay, you want to call that method. So you want to call a method called as send message. Okay, so there are two ways by which you can send a message. So once you click something and you hit enter, so the message should send, or else if you click on this button, the message should send. Okay, so to do it via the input enter, so what you can do here is you will say something called as key down. Okay, key down dot enter. Okay, so whenever you do enter key is pressed, so what you will say, you will say send message is called. Okay, or if someone is clicking the button, then at that time also you want to call the send message. Okay, and this send message, what the send message will do, so if you remember, we have a chat service. In the chat service we have created something called as send message, but this send message accepts a message parameter. Okay, so what we will pass, we'll pass the input message whatever user has clicked. Okay, so we will pass the input message here. Okay, so once you pass the input message, so again this is returning a promise. So once the promise is success, so how you say that, so promise dot then it is a success. If it is success, then you will just refresh, then you will just make this input as empty. Okay, but if there is any error, you can catch it in the catch block by saying catch error, and you can console log. Okay, you can log it in the console to see what is the error. Okay, and that's it. So your send message is also done in the component level. Okay, let me save all the changes. Now you have to handle the leave chat. Okay, so again, to do that, let's create a method leave chat, and whenever the leave chat is clicked, you have to call the service, the chat service dot the leave chat service what we have created. Okay, again, this leave chat is also returning a promise, so we can say dot then if it is a success, then what you will do, right, you will just do this dot router dot navigate. So you have to navigate to the welcome page, like okay, my chat is done, now let's again go back to the welcome page. So to go to do the routing, let me inject the router. Okay, so router is injected, and now you can make use of router here. So I will say this dot router dot navigate. Where you want to navigate? I want to navigate to welcome page, which is welcome. Okay, and this is done, and I can catch the error as well. So you'll say catch block. If there is any error, then you can just do console. That's it. Okay, so in this way, your all three method you are able to use it here. Okay, let's save the changes, and now let's see. Let me just do a console.log also to see the messages and stuff, if it is coming in this component or not. So I'll say console.log messages. Save the changes. Now let's go here and see if this is working. So you can see connection is established, and now what I will do, right? I'll just say let me first connect. So let me click on leave chat. If I click on leave chat, it should route, but it is not doing because we have created the method but we are not using it. So if you go on the top, we have this button leave chat. So just go here and add a click event. Click should call leave chat. Okay, or not. Let's go on the browser again, and now when I click on this leave chat, I will be coming on to the welcome page again, and now I can click on join now if I want to join it again. Okay, so now everything is working fine. Now our task is to show all the messages here. So to show the message, I will be using this div block. So inside that I will add all the message history. But before that, let's see if we are able to get the messages in the console or not. So for that, you just have to write a console.log here, and this log we can see all the message is coming or not. Okay, so let's join a room. Click on join. Once you join, I can see the message, and I can see what all things I'm getting. I'm getting a message, I'm getting message time and user. Okay, if I add some message here and I hit enter, I can see I got two message, and the second message is from Shashi. The message is whatever I have typed, and also I got what time the message was sent, which means I have these three object here. Okay, so these three property I have to use it on the HTML. Alright, so in the HTML we will be targeting this particular div. So you can locate here, and let me add a code snippet and let me explain you that code. Okay, so what I did is, right, so here this is how my code looks like here, and I know I'm getting a lot of error here, so we will fix that. Okay, so what we will do, right, so we will have a ng container because we are getting a array of messages, so that's why you're using ng container, and then we have this big div. Okay, so inside this div we are applying a class, ng class, and based on some condition I will be applying this dynamic classes. Okay, so if the message is coming from, if the message is not coming from the logged in user, then apply this class. If the message is coming from the logged in user, then apply this class. Okay, so this is what I have added. Let me zoom out a bit so that now we can see it more better. All right, and now then I have a div here again with the ng if condition, which has an image. Okay, so what I'm doing, right, if the message is coming from an incoming user, then I'm displaying a profile image. Okay, and if the message is again not coming from the logged in user, so this is what the classes we have received message, and this is how the message is showing that we are displaying it here in this particular div. But if the message is coming, if the message what user has sent is done by the logged in user, then this is what the div we are displaying. Okay, so now we are playing with ng if condition to do hide and show. Okay, based on the condition. Okay, so now the question is, what is this logged in username? This logged in username is nothing but what we will be doing, what we will be storing it in the local storage. So what we will do, right, we have to create this property in the TS file. Okay, so we'll create a property called as logged in username, and let me keep this as blank. Okay, so how we will be able to get this logged in username? Okay, so whenever you are trying to join a room, at that point of time you can store this user. Okay, so what we will do, we will store it in the session storage, not in the local but in the session storage. Okay, so we'll say session storage dot set item. So give it a key which is user, and give the value to it which is again user. Okay, so this will store the user in the session storage, and this session storage you have to use it here. Okay, so now you will say session storage dot get item and pass in the key. The key was user. Okay, and this will give you the logged in username. Okay, so by this we can judge like from whom the message is going and coming. Let's do a quick demo to see that if everything is working or not. Let's go on the browser and let me go and add my display name and let me add the room name. Click on join. Can you see I'm able to see the message on the top that Shashi Kumar has joined the group, and this is coming from Let's Program bot, and at what time it is coming, this is also it is displaying. Okay, to display this time, right, what I have used some inbuilt pipe coming from Angular, which is date pipe, and I have passed the argument called as medium. Because of this passing this argument medium, I'm able to get the time value as well, okay, in the day. Alright, so this is how the message look like. Now this message is coming from, so this is my incoming message, so that's why it is in this side and this is in white color. But if there is an outgoing message from the current user, if I say something like hi from Shashi, if I hit enter, so this is in blue color and this is my outgoing message. Okay, let me create one more tab here and let me showcase that the same thing. Alright, let me create a tab here, localhost, and let me add a display name with a different user with the same room and click on join. Okay, now I can see I got a message here to Shashi that Abhishek has joined the group, and again this is a incoming message. And now if I type anything here, if I hit enter, so this goes like this to the different user. Okay, and now if the user is passing some message and hit enter, so even he is getting that message. Okay, so now everything is working fine. Okay, now the only problem what I see here is on this button. Even if you click on this button it works, but it's just a blank button, right? So we need to update this button. Okay, so to update this, right, I'm using a font awesome icon. Okay, how can we add a font awesome icon? It's easy. Just go on this website, font awesome w3 school, click on this link, and you just have to copy this and go in your index.html and just paste it below the bootstrap link. Just paste it and refresh, then you will be able to see that icon. Okay, let's go back to again add your username, JavaScript, and click join, and now you can see this icon of plane. Okay, and now if you type anything, hit enter, and the message is you are able to send the message. Okay, so in this way we are able to create this message sending and all of those. Now let me show you one problem now. So if I enter the messages, so if I'm entering the message, can you see I'm getting a lot of messages, okay, already now, but if you see, right, I have to scroll down to see my latest message. If I'm typing anything, can you see my message is getting down and down? So what I need to do, right, always I want to scroll to the bottom. So whenever my message is sending, I have to scroll it to the bottom. Okay, so let's see how I can fix this issue. So to fix this issue, right, you have to know the two concepts in Angular. So the first one is the template. Okay, so what is a template reference in Angular? And second thing, you have to know about the lifecycle hook. Okay, the lifecycle hook name is view check. I know a lot of people don't even use this kind of lifecycle hook, but this is where the importance of those lifecycle hooks comes in. Okay, so let me just showcase you how we can do that, how we can achieve that. Okay, so now let's go in your chat component.html and let's target this div, okay, message history, and let's create a template reference. Okay, how do we create that? By adding a hash, and let me give a name as scroll me. Okay, so this is my template reference, and this template reference I can access it in the TS file. Okay, how can I access? By using view child. Okay, so by view child you can access this template reference. So let's go here and add a view child, and this view child again has to be imported. So if you go on the top, this is imported already from Angular/core. Okay, and in this view child you just have to give the name whatever you have created there, scroll me. So this is my template reference, and now here you can create this property private, and this is my scroll container. Okay, and this scroll container, this will be of type element ref, and again this is coming from Angular/core, and you have to import it here. This is imported by default once you press tab. Okay, and now you will have to make use of the interface. You have to implement the interface after view check. Okay, as this is the interface, so it's a contract, so you have to implement the interface. Okay, so let's copy this interface and just paste it below the ng on init. Okay, inside this ng on init, what you need to do, right, we have to scroll to bottom. Okay, we have to scroll to bottom. So what you will do, right, in this you will say whenever the view is checked, you will have to check if the container is scrolled to top or not, like it is always in the top of it or not. So what you will do, you'll say this dot my container, which is my scroll container, dot native element, okay, dot scroll top. Okay, and now what you will do, right, you will just assign it a new value. Okay, so what will be that new value? Whenever it is happening scroll top, so you will give a scroll top whatever the scroll height it is. So what you will do, you'll say this dot container, scroll container, dot native element dot scroll height. So once you assign the scroll height to the scroll top, then it will always be it will be always scrolled, and it will be always in the bottom. Okay, so once I save the changes, let me show you if it is working or not. Again, let me add this, join here, and let me add some bunch of messages. So now if you see, whenever I type any new message, just look at the scroll bar here. So now it is always in the bottom. So this is my new message, so let me add it, and if I hit enter, I'm always in the bottom. Okay, so in this way we will be able to fix this issue where we have to always scroll bottom. And how did we achieved it? By using template reference variable, view child, and after view checked lifecycle hook. Okay, so this is what we have implemented. Now let's see what we have to do next. So here on the left, if you see, right, we are getting this dummy connected user. So we have to replace it with the actual users. Okay, so how can we do that? Let's see. So if you remember, right, we have already created a observable. So we just have to subscribe that observable here. So how we can use that? It's very easy. What you will do, right? So you can directly use the chat service, correct? So what you will do, as you have already injected the chat service, so you can just go here in the chat component.html, scroll up where we have the connected users, and here if you see, right, we have this inbox chat. So again, this is a list of what we say users. So we will have to make use of ng container. Okay, and in the ng container you will have to add this particular bar. So you have to repeat this. Okay, so wherever you see this dummy customer, dummy connected user, you have to change this name with what you are getting in the list. Okay, so I will add a ng container just here, and I will be using ng for. Now I will say let user of this dot, my service was chat service dot connected user. So as this is an observable, so I can subscribe to it by saying async pipe. So if you use a async pipe, you can directly subscribe and unsubscribe. So this is one of the feature. Okay, so I showcase you both the way by which you can do it. So for the input messages, right, I was able to subscribe it here, and then I am storing it in the message. But if you want to directly do it, the same thing you can apply it here as well. So what you will be doing here, so we'll say this dot chat service dot messages, and then you can just say async. So what is the benefit of this async? This will help you to subscribe, and also this will help you to unsubscribe by default. Once the page component are destroyed, this will directly unsubscribe your observable. So this is the benefit of that. Okay, so I just showcase you both. So whatever if I always recommend this way, but it all depends on person to person how they use. Okay, or else you will have to write your own ng destroy and do the unsubscription there. Okay, so now again let's just focus here. So this is my ng container, and I'll copy all of this dev code and I'll put in this ng container. Okay, now based wherever we have this dummy user, we will be removing it, and then I will update it with the user what I'm getting. Okay, so let me add this string concatenation, and I think I'm done. Alright, so now this will display the image of the user, and this will display the name, dynamic name, which is coming from the observable, and that's it. So now let me just do some refactoring, and let me remove this unnecessary space, save all the changes, and let's see if everything is working. Alright, so to do the testing for this, so let me again add the name, and let me give the room name and click on join. Okay, so once I click on join, I'm able to see the message here which is correct, but I can see some unnecessary record. Okay, so the main reason for this record could be that once we are leaving the group, there is something we are missing. Okay, so let's go in your backend code and let's see what is the thing what we are missing. Okay, so if you see here, right, so this is the on disconnect. So this is what we are doing. So we are first checking if there is any connection ID. Okay, so there is one mistake what we have did here, that once we are removing the connection, so there is no such code what we have written to remove the context ID. Okay, because this is the connection what we are storing, right? This is a singleton service, and this will store all your connections. Once I refresh the code, once I restart the application, then it might get null or it might get empty. But for now we are not able to remove it, like we are not removing it. That's the problem. So what we will do here, whenever the user clicks on disconnect, so whenever it is getting disconnected, so what you will do, let me stop the application for now, and now what I will do here, right, I'll just say connection dot remove. Okay, what you want to remove, you want to remove the context ID, so you'll say context dot connection ID. Okay, that's it. And once you do this, now everything should be okay. Now let's save the changes here and rerun the application. Alright, the application is running again. Now let's go back on the UI. Let's click on leave chat and click on join now room. Now let's add let's try to do the demonstration. So I added the name, I added the room name as well, and join. Now I can see the single user. Let me create one more instance of this, and let me add a new user now with the same room name, and I click on join. Yes, I'm able to see. Okay, now if I click on the leave room, I come on this home page. If I go back again, if I check here In the first instance, I can see Abhishek has left the group and there is only one user. But if he again wants to join, he can join the room again. So he can click on his name, click on the room name and click on join, and he's back again. And he will see the same message here. So Abhishek has left the group and again he has joined the group. Okay. So in this way, we are able to also show the connected user on the left hand side, and we can show the message here on the right hand side. Okay. Now there is one feature what I wanted to just display you that, okay, here you can see their name is also inconsistent. So this is showing dummy room name, but the room name what we joined was JavaScript. Okay, so what you will do, right? So to persist this record, again we will have to store it somewhere. Okay, so we will be using session storage to do the same. So once you go on this join room component, okay, so here what you will do, right? You will add one more item. So you will say session storage dot set item, and in that item you just have to specify the room and you can give the value which is room. Okay, so this will save the value in the session storage. Okay, and now to use that in the chat component, what you will do, you'll do the same thing here. You will say room name and you will just say session storage dot get item, and you will pass in the key which is room. Okay, and now this value we can use it in the UI. So you can just go here and there will be a dummy component here. So we can remove this, get rid of this static name, and we can add our dynamic name based on what user select. Okay, now save the changes and let's do a demo for this one again. Okay, now if I click on join now here, so there is something that I need to do the reset connection. Okay, so what happens, right? So whenever you are disconnecting, clicking on disconnect, you have to reset the connection. Okay, so to do that, right, either you can just refresh the browser to handle it automatically, or else what you can do, right, you can create a set timeout. Okay, so how do we handle the reconnection? So what you will do, right, so whenever user clicks on leave chat, okay, so what you do, right, you just route him to the navigate if everything is okay. So what we will do, right, so we will do add here a set timer to add a asynchronous operation. So you can make it 0 as well, it's fine. And what you will do, right, you will just say location dot reload. So what it will do, right, it will just go on your welcome page and it will just reload your page, and by reloading the page it will do the reconnection. That's it. So let me just show you in the console actually. So if I inspect element here, now if I join the room with the display name, give the room name, click on join. Okay, I have joined the room. Now once I click on the leave chat, okay, so there is one user who has joined and connection is established. So if I click on leave chat, what will happen, right? So this will again refresh the page, and now you can click on join now and the connection is again established. Okay, now you can click your name again, click the room name, and you can click on join. So still it works. If you don't add that site timeout, then this will not allow you to join the room again because the connection is disconnected and you're trying to connect it. So it might give you multiple messages. So to get rid of that, you can do that step. Okay, so let's do a quick demo to see if everything is working fine. Let me add a display name and let me give a room name and click on join. Yes, I can see the group name here, I can see the connected user, I can see the message and everything fine. Let me add the second user in the same group, click on join. Now see everything is working. Let me send some few messages just to see if everything is working real time. Yeah, it works fine. Let me add few more random text. Yes, it works fine. Let me also see if the scroll bar is working fine, because I want to see the message always below, right? So I don't need to scroll it manually, so it's doing for me by default. Okay, so that's how we have handled that as well. Now let me show you one more thing, that what happens if I try to join a new room. Like if one more user wants to join the room, so the third user is trying to join, but the room name he selected is different. Okay, if he clicks on join, so he has joined to a different group, and whatever message he will send, right, so this will not be getting received to this group member, because this was the beauty of this. So this is basically helps you to do a group chat. Okay, so this can be done. So if you want to do a group chat with this group, so you have to specify the correct name. Okay, then only it will join, then only it will allow you to write the message to that particular set of group. Okay, alright, so that's it from this today's video, where we have learned about how to create a chat application by using SignalR and Angular. If you have loved my content, then please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you really have any suggestions for me for this video, like how can I improve this or any other thing, then please mention them in the comment section, or else you can also connect with me on my other social handle like LinkedIn, Instagram or Telegram. I will also request you guys, if you love this content, then consider sharing it with your friends also, so that they can learn this beautiful tech. Also, if you want the code for this particular application, so you can head over to my Patreon and you can just become my member, and you just need to add your GitHub ID so that you can access this code base. just mention anyway whoever is my member, so they will be getting access to this repo. But if you really want this code, like you want to implement this and you want to test it, then you can just become my member, write down your ID and you can get the code base. Or else if you're implementing this by your own and if you are facing any doubt or any issue, then that's not a problem. You can connect with me on Instagram or Telegram. We can discuss over there as well if you have any doubt related to this topic. Also, I will be releasing a blog version of this video on my blog website, which is letsprogram.in. So you can head over there and you can also go ahead and check out all my blogs. So you can just mark this as a bookmark if you really want to learn good things about Angular, .NET Core and a lot of things. Alright, so that's it from this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and let's see you guys next time. Until then, bye bye and keep learning, guys.